Chicago, August 5, 1948. A mother hides her face. A sign reads, "For children for sale." Facing eviction with nowhere to turn. Delaware, 1910. A man strapped to a whipping post. A crowd watches as the lash comes down. Public flogging was still legal here. Justice or barbarism dressed as law. Shanghai, circa 1870. A man locked in a kang, a wooden board trapping his neck and hands. He couldn't feed himself, couldn't lie down. Public humiliation that could last weeks. Philippines, 1901. Death by garrote. An iron collar tightened around the neck until life ended. When hanging was abolished in 1832, they replaced it with this. Somehow they called it progress. Luanda, 1897 or earlier. Young enslaved women displayed in a trader's yard, waiting to be sold. Human beings with price tags. This was normal. That's the most disturbing part. But the dehumanization didn't end with slavery. A simulated village at an exhibition. Black and white photograph of real people displayed like zoo animals. Human zoos existed across Europe and America. Entertainment built on racism. Abraham Tobias, an Inuit man, sits in a kayak on display. Not in his homeland, in an exhibition hall. Thousands paid admission to stare at him. Culture reduced to a sideshow. Black Africans arriving for an exhibition, brought across oceans to be displayed. Families watched, children pointed. No one questioned it. And then humanity found new ways to be cruel. Dachau, Germany, April 1945. Prisoners gripped the barbed wire fence as American liberators arrived. Skeletal faces, hollow eyes. They survived what most did not. Amsterdam, 1935. 6-year-old Anne Frank holds a jumping rope beside her friend San Lederman. 2 innocent girls playing on a sidewalk. Within 10 years, both would be gone. India, World War II. British military equipment disguised as elephants. War makes people creative, sometimes absurdly so. Atlas Mountains, North Africa, 1925. The last known photograph of a Barbary lion before extinction, taken by Marceline Flandra, a king of beasts, photographed just before vanishing forever. 1903, 2 Kashmir giants pose with American photographer James Rickelton. One stood 7'9", the shorter one a mere 7'4". Rickelton looks like a child between them. 1870s, Dr. Louis Sayre treating scoliosis. A patient suspended by the head and arms while he examines the spine. Medicine before mercy. Treatment that looks like torture. A young girl showing the effects of radiation exposure. Her skin tells a story of invisible poison. Some wounds don't heal, some pain doesn't fade. World War II, babies and nurses wearing gas masks. The threat of chemical warfare made this necessary. Innocence protected by rubber and glass. The only known authentic photograph of Titanic's swimming pool, 1912. Luxury that sank to the bottom of the Atlantic. Now it lies 2 miles underwater, frozen in time. South of France, 1999. The first ever underwater photograph, taken by Louis Boutin at a depth of 164 feet, a glimpse into a world humans were never meant to see. Fremantle Prison, 1909. The entrance to the main courtyard. Inmates walked through this gate, knowing most would never walk out. Ramla, Israel. Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann pacing the yard of his cell at Ayalon Prison, the architect of genocide, waiting for justice to catch up. Bryant School sewing class, later renamed Warrington in 1927. Young girls learning skills that would define their futures. For many, this was all the education they would ever receive. Łódź, Poland, 1939 to 1945. Polish civilians, mothers clutching children, displaced by German occupiers. Entire families torn from their homes with nowhere to go. While some mourned the old world, the funeral procession of Emperor Franz Joseph I, the end of an empire. Crowds lined the streets to watch an era being buried. Washington, D.C., the scaffold in use during the execution of Lincoln assassination conspirators. A crowd fills the yard below, seen from the roof of the arsenal. Justice served or vengeance displayed. A mugshot of Pugsy Hurley, one face among thousands in early criminal records, his crimes forgotten, his photograph remains. U.S. border, a guard on one side, Mexicans behind the fence on the other, a line in the dirt separating two different worlds. Seacliff Psychiatric Hospital, circa 1926. Men sit on benches watching a cricket game on the field below. Designed by Robert Lawson, even here, life found small moments of normalcy. But for millions, there was no escape from suffering. India, a family, victims of famine, bones visible through skin, starvation captured in a single frame that says more than words ever could. Lanzhou, China, famine victims gathered at Zhongshan Bridge, hunger that claimed millions while the world looked away. Laverne, Minnesota, August 19, 1918. German-American farmer John Meintz dragged from his home by masked locals, tarred and feathered, whipped, forced across the border. His crime having a German name during wartime. North Sea, World War I. Battleships of the Grand Fleet patrolling the waters. The Royal Navy guarding an empire. Steel giants preparing for war. Morfettville Racecourse, August 29, 1914. Recruits of the 10th Infantry Battalion doing basic training. Alexander McNeil enlisted here as a private. A racecourse turned into a factory for soldiers. Marcelo Serna, a Mexican immigrant who became the most decorated American veteran of World War I. He came to this country with nothing. He left the battlefield a hero. America was being built, sometimes on dreams, sometimes on bones. Newcastle, Washington, circa 1885. A mining town carved into the wilderness, fortunes made underground, lives lost even faster. King County Courthouse Courtroom, circa 1885, where frontier justice was decided. Wooden benches, oil lamps, verdicts that couldn't be appealed. A rare photograph of Pardil Khan, Sakawist politician and military leader in Afghan history, one of the few images that survived. Nagasaki, August 9, 1945. The mushroom cloud rises, taken from the Northwest. In seconds, 40,000 lives ended. The world would never be the same. USS Franklin, March 19, 1945. The aircraft carrier engulfed in flames after a Japanese attack. Over 800 crew members lost their lives that day. She refused to sink, but the cost was devastating.
New York City, a hot summer day. Boys crouched on the pavement shooting marbles. Simple games before screens existed. Childhood on concrete. New York Sub-Treasury Building. The public lines up to buy the new Lincoln cent, a 1-cent coin drawing crowds. People wanted to hold a piece of history in their hands. Juarez, Mexico, circa 1905. People gathered on the sidewalk across from the church. Some sit on benches. A streetlight stands behind them. Ordinary life on the border. St. Patrick's College, Ravenswood. The Queen of the May seated under the pole. Attendants kneeling. Schoolgirls in pale Edwardian dresses. A tradition frozen in time. But while some celebrated tradition, others were ending a war. USS Missouri, September 2, 1945. Japanese Foreign Minister Mamoru Shigemitsu signs the Instrument of Surrender. Lieutenant General Sutherland watches across the table. World War II officially ends with a signature. Guam, October 1944. 2 Japanese soldiers lie in the tangled undergrowth. They will fight no more. The 77th Infantry Division moved on. They stayed behind. Thuong Duc, Vietnam. A Viet Cong prisoner awaits interrogation at A-109 Special Forces Detachment. Hands bound. Future uncertain. Vietnam. A soldier from the 1st Brigade 5th Infantry Division takes down barbed wire tape. The war was ending, but leaving was its own kind of battle. Vietnam veterans throw their medals away in protest. Honors earned in combat, discarded in anger. A generation's disillusionment on full display. But war wasn't the only thing breaking people. The Great Depression. Unemployed men standing in line, waiting for work that may never come. Millions shared this same hopeless view. San Antonio, Texas. A Mexican boy eating lunch. Simple moment. Worn clothes tell a bigger story of hardship. German-occupied lodge, World War II. German police recording names of imprisoned Poles. Identity reduced to paperwork. People reduced to numbers. Rotterdam, October 11, 1941. A Reich Labor Service exhibition opens. Reichskommissar Seyss-Inquart and General Commissar Schmidt in attendance. Occupation displayed as progress. Gusen concentration camp after liberation. Empty now, silent now. What happened here finally visible to the world. Buchenwald, April 1945. U.S. soldiers bring citizens of Weimar to the crematorium courtyard. They were made to see. This image appeared in the London Times on April 18th, the first photograph of Buchenwald the world ever saw. Auschwitz, newly liberated. Women in the barracks. On the far left, wearing a scarf, Rivka Ruchla-Kenchinska. She survived. Many beside her did not. Al-Magroun concentration camp in Libya, 1931. Distribution of soup to approximately 13,000 prisoners. Italian colonial rule enforced through confinement. Suffering had many faces. Okinawa, a hospital set up by U.S. military government after the invasion. A mother bathes her child suffering from malnutrition. War's toll measured in the smallest victims. Goldfield, Nevada, circa 1900-1905.
3 miners in prospector outfits beside a burro cart loaded with supplies. The gold rush drew thousands. Most found only dust. Goldfield, Nevada, circa 1905. 12 horses haul 3 wagons of ore. A mill and mining facilities visible on the hill above. The machinery of extraction at full scale. Edlow, 1914. Workers attending to a derailed railway carriage. Before modern equipment, manpower and patience were the only tools available. Port of Antwerp, 1964. Special cargo, a mini-submarine bound for Nassau, Bahamas, being loaded through Hatch 3. Not every shipment was ordinary. Port Sudan, 1960. Dock workers loading bagged cargo onto MS Rothenstein. Each bag weighs 70 kilograms. Brutal work under brutal sun. And then there was Titanic. Titanic's sea deck under construction, steel and rivets coming together. They called her unsinkable. They were wrong. Captain Edward John Smith on the Titanic bridge, morning of April 10, 1912. 4 days later, he would go down with his ship. London, April 16, 1912. Ned Parfett, the Titanic paperboy, holds a newspaper banner about the sinking. Standing outside White Star Line offices near Trafalgar Square. The world was just learning the truth. Angarden in Gothenburg, early 1900s. A ward in the Children's Hospital. Small beds in rows. Medicine still learning how to care for the young. Romaneus Sanatorium. A patient rests on a veranda outside the hospital room. Fresh air was considered treatment. Isolation was considered cure. Fremantle Prison in 1909. The radiating exercise yard seen from above. Inmates walked in circles under watchful eyes. Routine was the only freedom allowed. These photographs survived because someone refused to let them disappear. The disturbing, the forgotten, the human. History unveiled. Subscribe for more.